Honesty is the best policy. At least they're not trying to hide anything from me, and neither am I from them. Jimmy was bullied, yet still confident and funny. He talked a lot and that got him into trouble. In school one day, he upset someone. A crude joke hurt them. He upset a psychopath who didn't take kindly to the insult. So an exaggerated revenge was planned. Your mouth got you into this. I want you to remember that. Jimmy's eyes reflected his emotion. Trembling, treacherous fear. The boys, grabbing formic acid, threw it into his face. Jimmy's eyes began to sting. His skin began to boil, and his teeth began to crumble. Everything was warm and numb, as the acid melted what he once was. The boys laughed and ran away. Paramedics helped Jimmy, as he could no longer scream due to the burnt sizzled tongue and the sores scarring the roof of his mouth. The headmaster asked Brett if he knew anything. We saw him as we was walking past the lab room. He was already in this state. Jimmy wriggled and wormed, attempting to protest as he watched the boys, who did this to him, lied their way to freedom, but he couldn't get anyone to listen. After a few days passed, Jimmy's face was ambushed with bandages as doctors salvaged as much as they could of his deteriorated face. Jimmy's vision was working in only one eye. You could look through one side of his jaw and see through the other side, and skin was hanging off every corner of his skull. As he was discharged from the hospital, he would only reply, "Liars," as people tried to converse. He got home. He got to his room. He got to his bed, then got to his mind, and began planning. Ill, sinister, grotesque thoughts, only possible by psychopaths themselves. Kidnap, decimate, cut and ignite, torture. The following weekend, Jimmy sent out a package to Brett, a VHS tape. As it played, horror began to unfold. A basement with a single flickering light. In front of the camera, a boy, naked, dirty, scared, and on his hands and knees. He was drowned in blood, burns, laceration, and wounds. One cut stood out, however, on his back. It seemed like Jimmy was trying to spill a word. Brett began shaking and felt the bile that rested in his stomach swim up through his throat. He saw all the burnt bodies in the background, deathly charcoal. Each one had a large cut on their back, as if Jimmy was trying to get a message across. The cameraman makes Brett's friend stand up and turn around. You can now see the message lacerated in the back. Liar. As the video cuts out and in, a change of scenery is shown. Cold snow, outskirts of a wood, Brett's friend screaming, terrified, and crying. He then becomes quiet. Jimmy's mangled face is shown. Howling through the TV speakers, the word liar pops up and ends the tape abruptly. Brett gets up and runs for the door, trying to lock it. A hard push is felt against his back as he bangs his head against the floor and feels intense heat dribble down his face. Steam rises from Brett's face, and his face begins to melt away. His eyeballs seize into shriveled, burnt pieces of ash, and a foul stench is produced, and his screams become louder by the second. The last thing Brett ever sees is an evil, sick, twisted smile from a burnt, corrupted face. Liars.